What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another Dadgood Community Podcast. You already know the Dadgood Community, bringing it to you right here in Square. Today, we have a hot topic on our hands, a featured guest, the one and only Jay Williams. I know you already know the name. Founder and CEO of Freebird Water Company. If you're not following him on LinkedIn, you're honestly missing out. My man is spouting out not only entrepreneurial, business owning gold, but he plays into that LinkedIn banter as well, if you will. Most known from my angle with the key teasers such as, do you know Big Mo? Or leading you that little hanger in retrospect. If I'm being real right now, and if all we have is hope. And so if you're not tuning in, make sure you tune in. My main man, Jay Williams, Freebird. What's up, big dog? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. That was one hell of an intro, you know.
Come on. Let me cut you off real quick.
Yeah,
Let me cut you off. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right doing this without
there we go.
You already know some of that Freebird seltzer. Give it to me, my boy. Cheers. Didn't feel right to start this one out without it. Jay Williams, bro, how you living, man?
I'm living good, you know. First of all, in relationship to your intro, I write all that stuff and I just assume nobody's reading, so I don't like to hear it back because it makes me feel weird. But
bro.
Yeah.
You're on it. That's one of the things that I spotted about some of your biggest posts is that you're a man for a good teaser. You put that little punch hitter, a couple dots, make you hit see more, and then you get into the juice. My guy knows what he's doing. Come on.
Yeah, I'm pretty good with the hooks. Yeah, it probably goes downhill after that, but the hooks are all right. Yeah, thank you.
No, for sure, bro. Come on. You're blowing up, dude. Come on, let's get after it. Par to course, the first thing that I want to dive into, which admittedly I know the least about, is my man Jay Williams. Tell me about your home team, dude. Who you got in the house?
Wow. So that's a loaded question.
Let's go.
So I think that maybe the easiest way to say it, and let's take the Dadgood sort of vibe here,
We could
right?
take that road.
Right. So we'll start with family. So, you know, I've got a wonderful wife, which you have probably seen a few posts about that.
Yes, absolutely.
And thank God she hasn't. At some point in time, it's going to be a conversation, but she's not into LinkedIn and she doesn't care. And even if I tell her about it, she still doesn't care. But at some point in time, we're going to have a conversation. So
yeah, it will hit the surface. You already know.
It will hit the surface. And guess what? I'll tell you guys about it. And other than that, I've got two wonderful boys because I'm, 950 years old. One has graduated from college and one is in college, but they're awesome. And yeah, life's good.
Dude, I love that, man. I didn't know. So you got two older boys. That's fire. What colleges they go to right now?
So one went to Alabama, which I went to Georgia, so that's not cool, but it's fine. I paid for it. It's all done. He's out. He lives in Charleston. And then my younger son goes to Rollins College. It's in Winter Park, Florida, and he's a golfer.
Sick.
So he's on the golf team there. So it's awesome.
Get in. Where's our golf guys at? Reach out to Jay, man. We got a ton in the community.
So
they're ridiculous, bro. Honestly,
yeah, so many.
Can I just say that people that play golf and are obsessed about it are like on a next level in comparison to being obsessed about a sport. Like, my goodness, dude, the Slack channel is filled with, oh man, shot 5 under today. Like, man, rough day on the course. Those guys get after it for sure.
Yeah. And they all lie, by the way. He didn't shoot 500. No way.
Are you a golf guy? Do you get out there, Jay?
So, yeah, I am, but I'm not as good as my son, and he'll tell you about it if he was here.
I bet.
But I love it. You know, I've played my whole life, but he's really, really good.
Sick.
You know, I'm a hacker.
No, I get you. I'm like, I stop at Top Golf, and it's really just because it's like an arcade game. So that's about the extent, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
UD or CT, you guys get out on the golf course at all?
Funny enough, Jay, because I live in Atlanta. Well, I live outside of Atlanta, 30 minutes north, but I live on a golf course, but I do not play at all. I grew up playing with my dad and my younger brother. They still play all the time there, Chris, just like the dads in Dadgood that we talk about. Just they get together and it's just, the banter and all the stuff. I did also grow up, watching Tiger back in the day and his like heyday with my dad. So great memories there. And I mean, I can respect golf a lot. I grew up skateboarding, also takes a lot of, I feel like, natural talent, and you have to work really hard at it. And golf, my goodness, is just insanely hard. I mean, even professional golfers, like they go out there and they could just have like the worst day ever. So, and they get paid to do it. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of respect for golfers, and maybe I should, take it up. I see people playing all the time in my neighborhood, and then when people find out that I live there, they're like, "Oh, you play?" And you have
Yeah.
to go through the whole like, "No, I don't really play," and they're like, "Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's just kind of weird," and then they just walk off. They just think I'm like a weirdo, so I'm just like the
It's
weird guy.
such a
Yeah,
humbling game. I think probably all of you guys, it looks like, have been athletes in your life, and myself as well. And you start playing golf, and you think you're
yeah,
just Mr. Athletic, and then you get on the golf course, and it'll humble you really quickly.
yeah. I
That's
mean,
what
so
I've
much
heard.
technique, one tiny little thing on or off, and it's just not like you almost have to be, I mean, like a robot to be
Yeah, it's
able to
also
really dial it in.
it's a very mental game, and that's why like
Yeah.
Tiger was
Oh
so
yeah.
amazing because he was like just locked in all the time.
Yeah, man. So I
Dang.
love that though. Can
Hey,
definitely
by the way,
respect the
if I may, and I know this is your thing, but I want to just interject.
Dude, take
do
over,
What
it.
bro.
what you guys are doing and have done with Dad Good is fucking amazing. Am I allowed to cuss on here?
Yeah, bro.
Sure.
Because
Please do.
it
Let it
is
rain.
incredible. It's incredible. Like, I've seen the numbers. Obviously, I know a little behind the scenes from you guys with what you're doing, and I really admire it. It's not that easy to build a community, and you guys have killed it. So I really, a lot of kudos to you guys because it's amazing.
Dang, man.
Thank you,
It's
brother.
these heroes, and we've got Guy who's MIA. He's moving from Boston to where's he headed?
Well,
Carolinas?
he is moving. He's moving down to South Carolina, but he's doing a
Uh,
lot. He's traveling for work. He's in
he's playing
Chicago for
businessman.
a work event. But yes, he is moving from Boston to South Carolina too. Which,
Yeah.
if anyone knows, moving seriously the worst thing. You could be moving the house
Yeah.
like next door to
It's
your own
awful,
house,
bro.
Yeah.
and you still hate it. So,
No, but heck
Jay,
yeah,
thank you,
Jay.
bro.
It's these
That's awesome.
heroes that set the whole thing up. Yeah, and likewise, I feel the same way about the community. Just wild, dude. Like, and I know that you're inside the Slack as well. Just seeing like the support that people, hey man, looking for a job. Hey dude, like these diapers are awful. Does anybody have advice? Or my kids screaming over like just the camaraderie and the reciprocity of people just trying to support each other and hook each other up. So fat, dude. Like you
Yeah.
couldn't, bro. These
I
guys, they
really I
did it,
really
man.
love it. And also, you just used the word reciprocity, which is probably the biggest word I've ever heard on a podcast. So that's congrats for
Hey,
that.
that's why they pay me the big bucks.
I know, seriously. But I
And
mean,
for that
like,
intro.
honestly, as someone in the beverage business, and we'll get to that in a minute, but I understand the challenges associated with building a community and like a real live, like sincere, authentic community. And you guys have done that. And I love it. So again, I have a lot of respect for that.
That's
Thanks,
fire,
man.
dude.
That's
That
awesome.
means the world. It really does.
That's
Thank you.
so
And
sick.
Jay, to that point, like I think we would love to take all the credit, but it's something that you hope for, but you can't control. So it's like something you kind of fall into. You can make it perfect and things like that, but it's hard. That sincerity, that genuine connection is tough to manufacture. Right. And so Warren would say it all the time, like are doing most of these things for the first time in real time. And we're learning as we are going. But
Best
the
way.
people that we have attracted have been so genuine. So it's been very easy to continue to build that. Obviously, we're still trying to figure like as this amoeba keeps growing and we're trying to get our arms around it, we're still trying to figure out how to do this well in a way that everyone feels supported and feel like they're around the community. I think a part of this podcast was an attempt to like peel back the curtains a little bit because it's hard to talk to 1,300 plus members and interact with every single one. But I think this was an attempt to say, how can we give another opportunity to talk to our members, to make sure they feel like they're in the end, to have spotlights like this and special guests. So we appreciate that, but I do want to really just say like the special thing about Dadgood is the people, and we have been super fortunate, blessed to just attract the right people. Like obviously, there's been instances where I failed, other founders failed, people have failed. We just had to say, "Yo, my bad, I dropped the ball here. Shouldn't have said it like that. I should have did it this way." But we've attracted enough special people where it's continued to grow, despite we're just like, "Yo, I have no idea how this is happening." And I'm probably messing some stuff up along the way, like
Yeah.
honestly, you
Well,
know
Yeah.
what I
it's
mean?
rooted
So
in
thank you.
good, CT, and that's what I think sustains is that it's rooted in good. So, look, man, I'm a sales director. I'm a big contributor to fail forwards. Like fail as often as possible, especially if you're taking on something unknown or scary or you're in over your head. Like keep
Yeah,
failing and trust
yeah,
me, you're going to find that route. And so I
yeah,
think that's a beautiful thing about that foundation. It's all
yeah,
rooted in good. So,
I
yeah.
love
I love
that.
that.
And one of my favorite sort of quotes is, and I can't take credit for it, it's not mine, but is sometimes you got to build the plane while you're flying it. And I
yeah.
think that's what you guys are doing, but you learn the most that way. I think oftentimes a lot of people are too afraid to like literally take the plane off the ground.
Yeah.
It's just too much analysis, too much, evaluation. And sometimes you just got to just put that plane in the air and go figure it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, they want the perfect checklist, and then they check them all off, and they're like, "Man, it looks so good." And someone's like, "All right, well, where's the thing?" It's like, "Well, just look at my checklist really quick. It's
Yeah.
all nice and done." And
Easy.
that's why I always post it, Jay, and I can't take credit for that either. Just literally something I found on the internet, but it's and Chris also, you love it too. I mean, it's a good one. It's just first make it exist and then make it good later,
Yeah.
because when I saw that, it hit me so hard, because that's like one thing that I've always struggled with is just have an idea or this or that, and I just like get all the planning, the checklist, and then it becomes about that stuff instead of actually just launching the thing. And then you obviously learn the most by actually doing it and failing, like you said, Chris, failing forward, and all those things. And so yeah, I mean, I think when we started it, I mean, we thought 20 people would join. And now we're having conversations that we didn't think we would ever have. I mean, we didn't even know what we were making necessarily. And some days it's kind of exciting. We still don't. Like, it's still something that's just very, really cool. And just, we want to keep it growing and keep it impactful and add value. But it's just like an evolving thing. And I think some days it's hard because you want to know exactly where you're going, but I think it's okay that it's just an evolving thing right now. And, it's meaningful to people when they send us the messages like, "Hey, love this place. Thank you for putting it together." And some days, that's more than enough.
Right,
Yeah.
Nah, for
right.
sure. What a
Yeah, man.
brilliant segue because I want to get into the real juice. I'm itching here. So, look, Jay, you've got three monsters in the industry right now: ambition, top notch, experience, mid level, especially with respect to entrepreneurship, which is that's the direction I'm driving. Is we've got UD and CT launching Presence Co. I've got an LLC I just opened with mutual connections. We're obviously trying to build this dad good community. And look, we're young guys, we're ambitious, we're just trying to figure all the stuff out. And so, where I want to bring this to is, first of all, breaking into the food and beverage industry with a product like water, scary as hell. Like, I don't know much about it, but it just sounds scary as hell. And so, can you kind of bridge us through the inception, the direction, navigating the earlier years, which is where all three of us are at right now, where we're still like, dude, like, is this the right thing? Like, give me the whole umbrella of how the hell we got here with you, Jay.
So how long you got? This, I mean,
Let's go, baby.
let's
Let's go.
So first of all, so I will say this: when I started Freebird, it was after a 27-year career in real estate. So if you do the math, that means I'm about 95 years old. And so the natural progression is real estate, beverage, right? Everybody does
Yeah,
that.
that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Right. But you know what? So as a person, I am literally an entrepreneur first. If there's anything that I identify with and how I describe myself, that's where I start. I can't explain that part. I was born that way. It's probably in my family history, but at the end of the day, what I love the most about being able to sort of take what I had in my previous career and then transition to beverage is the fact that, like, what I what I don't know doesn't really scare me. When you read a lot of things like on LinkedIn in particular, but anywhere, everybody talks about how scary it is and how, like, oh my gosh. And like, I'm not scared. I'm not.
Dang.
And I don't mean that from a cocky perspective, because back behind the curtain, there's a layer of insecurity there that, you know, that that exists. I just play it off. But I also am very confident when I am involved with a project, and I'm involved, then I feel confident that I can figure it out. And when I started in the beverage business, I didn't know one person, I didn't know one thing, nothing. And so, at the end of the day, like, I just decided to go for it, and it's hard to explain to, like, a normal person
Yeah.
because it's not a normal thing to do. But I also know that I've been around a little while, and so I've got some wisdom on how to run a company, the pitfalls, the mistakes you can make. And yeah, and so as it relates specifically to Freebird, I saw this company out there called Liquid Death. I can say the name. I'll say it. I'll
No, I
mention.
saw. And dude, you even speak positively. I just saw a post where you were like, bro, it's not a competition. It's just like they have a really cool marketing method. The next thing I want to get into with is your marketing method, which I think is like, dude, that's the reason that Freebird blew up. Not to cut you off, continue, but
Yeah.
like, I love that, dude. It just sounds like an intimidating ass space to try and create something in.
So yeah, it sounds that way, and and maybe it is, and maybe I'm just dumb enough not to realize it. And don't tell me so I can
No,
keep
I
going.
will. I will. Hey, bro, come
Yeah,
on, baby.
let me keep going without knowing how naive I am. But when I saw what Liquid Death was doing, and I mean this sincerely, and I think it's reflected in the things that I write. I admire their success. I admire the balls they had to create what they did and go for it. And in doing that, what they did, and I don't think they even meant to do it, they created a whole new category. They
Yeah.
literally created a category. And so I'm from Atlanta. I'm very close to the Coca-Cola story. I know all about it. And when Coca-Cola started, they created a whole category. They owned it. And it wasn't until Pepsi came along until there was really a viable candidate to compete with them. I see Liquid Death the same way. They have created effectively a new category of
Yeah.
water in a can. I know they've got other products now, but if you take them at their core, they started with water in a can, right? And very, very brand centric. And so, like, that's what I loved about it, by the way. You asked me sort of what got me there. I love branding. I love the creative process. I love the entrepreneurial process. So when I thought about what Liquid Death did, I thought to myself, well, gosh, I'm not really their target customer, and I'm not really interested in that can and that branding, but I love what they're doing. What about the rest of us? What about
Yeah.
everybody else in America who would love something like that, but there's nothing really for them, And so then I thought about, my relatives, my grandparents, they're blue collar farmers, they're small town, they're literally America. They're the
Yeah.
foundation of what America is. And I thought, well, that's what we ought to do.
Let's
Create a
go.
brand
Bring
for
in
them.
the big eagle, baby.
Yeah. And that literally, that is what That's what I thought about when I created Freebird. That is the
Dude,
foundation.
that's fire, man. Bro, UDCT, stop me whenever. I'm curious as all heavens. I could go for days just peppering this dude. You guys got anything here?
That's awesome.
I'm trying to think of how I was first introduced to Freebird. Definitely saw some of your posts, Jay, and I think it was towards the beginning of this year. I think you were talking about Girl Scout cookies, maybe, because then I was about to be ordering some
He's like,
Girl
I
Scout
wouldn't be
cookies too,
surprised.
or something, and I did some sort of poll. Anyways, I'm just trying to think back of like when, I first kind of discovered Freebird, because then when I did, I checked it out and I was like, first I love the name. I just and I've heard of Liquid Death, but I never, was a customer or anything. And kind of like you, Jay, I didn't really. I mean, I'd seen the cans before and very genius marketing type stuff, like with what they say and stuff. But I was still just kind of like, maybe I don't know, call me old school too, but I was just kind of like, I don't know, like if I'm gonna bring like the can. But then I saw Freebird, and me and my wife love drinking like sparkling water too. I like normal water too, but I like to get a little fancy sometimes. And so, and then when I
Pinky
finally
up.
tried it, yeah, and then when I finally tried it, it's like, it's really good. It's got something. It just really does. Like, you're not just saying that when you drink it, it's
Bro, I'll
got
tell
like
you exactly what
it's
it's
the
got.
natural spring wherever you guys
It's
are
got
getting
that
it, whatever.
top-notch
But
Southern
anyways,
sparkling spring water,
yeah,
baby. That's what
exactly.
she got.
Right. But and it's just, yeah. And then, I got to know you better on LinkedIn, and, you're in Atlanta, I'm in Atlanta. And I was just like, this is really cool, man. I'm going to follow this guy's journey.
Go.
And yeah, man. So that's what I was trying to think back on. And, I just think it's awesome what you've built so far. And I just really love how you show up on the platform, and you're, unapologetically yourself.
Yeah,
So
I am, and
yeah,
I'm
man.
and I'm sorry for that.
No, no.
Oh, bro,
It's
bring
great.
it, dude.
I love the you and the wife's dialogue post, which is just like so many of us do.
So
And
funny.
I'm sure so many of us in Dadgood too, have conversations like that with in fact, mine go even beyond my wife, like even some of my wife's friends that we play pickleball with. Like, I'll be on my phone, and guys, I'm not even on LinkedIn, I swear. I'm like actually texting a friend or answering like a Dadgood Slack, and my wife's friends are literally like, Warren, you need to get off LinkedIn. And I'm just like, dude, this is getting out of control now, man.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I get it.
they're
Hilarious.
roasting me out here,
I
guys.
get it.
So
Dude,
Yeah.
they get after it.
But Jay, I at a point, I'm not a big sparkling water guy, but your sparkling water is delicious. Like
Thank you.
I
it's the
remember the
little
craze when sparkling water became popular on our friend groups, and I didn't really enjoy sparkling water. Like, it was like it was healthier and things like that, and I was like, I don't really like the taste. But your sparkling water is delicious. I remember when we had some, and I gave it to my wife, and she was like, what is it? This is so good. And we knocked out the whole
Bro,
bottle
goes down
very quickly.
smooth.
But we don't really like her mom, my mother-in-law, loves sparkling water, drinks a ton. We always have it at every party because it's kind of like the healthier option.
Yeah.
And I personally, maybe I just don't have the palate for it. Like I need to like kind of get my pinky up more, but I'm not in general like a buyer of sparkling water. I'm just not.
Me either. Honestly,
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
Really, Jay?
I'm really not. So when we created the brand, and honestly, like to give you a little context, so it's from the Blue Ridge Mountains. The first time I drank this water to test it, I literally drank it out of the ground. True story.
No
Literally.
way.
yeah, because it's
Literally.
clean like
They
that.
had like a little pipe coming out of the ground, and I drank it out of the ground. And by the way, I didn't die. I'm still around.
Still here.
Here you
Made
are.
it.
But it was amazing. It was so good. And we were lucky. We found this exclusive spring, and it's a family owned spring. And we were really, really lucky. And then the same thing as you said, like, I'm not really myself a big sparkling drinker, but I love our sparkling water. And it does. And I hear this from everybody. It has a little something to it. I don't even know what that means. I don't, it's what I
It's
always say is it tastes a little bit like America. And, I hope that I hope that feels
Let's
good.
go put it on a t-shirt, baby. Let's
I
go.
love that.
We might have one
Well,
of those. Yeah.
I'm gonna
love it.
steal. I'm gonna steal that now, Jay. When I'm trying to explain it, that's what I'm gonna say because I can't seem to articulate it. But the people, how about this? If you're listening, just go try it, and you'll see
Just go
what
try it,
we're
man.
talking
Yeah.
about.
Go
So
try it.
Let me ask
I love
Jay, is this sacrilegious? Because look, the next thing I want to get into is I restocked on my Freebird because you became a really big deal a couple weeks ago. We'll get into that. We'll talk about why. But tell me if this is sacrilegious. So what me and my kids like to do is, you know, those Ozos, like the little where you could put like a blueberry or a strawberry type of dropper into your water.
Yeah.
So I've been hitting that directly into the can, bro, and like lights out, dude. I'm drinking way too many of these a week. You just hit it 2 drops. That's all you need. Just a little like, come on, boy, give me some life. It is fire, dude.
Literally, I don't throw peanut butter in there. I don't care. Whatever
Yeah.
works.
Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah, it
I
doesn't
just
matter to
want to
me.
know. I just
Yeah.
needed to know.
No.
But
what
but
you
so the audience knows. The only way I drink normal sparkling water is that way. But Freebird, you don't need that. Now you can have some, but the only way in my household that we actually drink normal sparkling water is that we have a couple of those like
Hit some
no
of those little
calorie,
dude,
like
this is
and
straight out the well. This
yeah,
has no
yeah,
flavoring, but I'm trying to hang out with my kids. I want them to
yep,
choose something other than like apple
Yeah.
juice or something sugary.
Sure.
You give them
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
free bird, hit a couple hitters in there, and they're
Yeah.
yeah.
they're loaded up.
Well, you know,
I love it.
just so you know, we're in the early stages of creating some flavors. So
Oh,
maybe this time next year we might have some flavors. So you know,
okay.
I
that
love
might
it.
be the next step. But in the
I love it.
meantime, I appreciate the nice words because we get a lot of comments about our sparkling water. We get both, but I personally have been very pleasantly surprised with how many people love our sparkling water.
Yeah,
Amazing.
man.
Yeah.
No, it
Yeah.
Yeah, I
is
love
Well,
that.
Jay,
fire. The
one quick question because do you have like taste testers for the potential new products? I know one thing that Mark A. Samuels said a couple weeks ago. He's like, hey, like his testers are his kiddos and other kids in addition to that, and because they usually give you the unfiltered kind of response. And then it got
they'll
me
tell
thinking,
you
like,
if
oh, like
it's
I guess
trash, Jay.
right, I guess there has to be some kind of small test to do that. But are you kind of like off the rip, like we're doing it, or like how does it look like for Freebird?
Same. So I've got
Yep.
my kids who
Yep.
will give me their unabashed opinion. Trust me. I've got friends, my wife, who you've learned about through LinkedIn. She will
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely tell me her opinion,
yeah,
whether
yeah.
I want it or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also, I've got a great team, and so
Yeah.
from the standpoint of how we go about it, I mean, it's a little bit unscientific, but it's also
Right.
real. Like it's real
Right.
people. I don't
Right.
want anybody to tell me they like something to try
Yeah.
to, please
Yeah.
me. I
Doesn't
wanna
help.
know. Like if they
Right.
don't like it, tell me why. What can we
Yeah.
adjust? So it's a process, but it's a lot of fun.
That's fire, man.
Chris, I have one more question before I give you back the
Hit
mic.
it, bro. You already know.
Uh,
I
I
stay over here jumping, like, let me go, let me get at him.
I know you're jumping in the ring, but Jay, I know you said you don't like you're not afraid. Like this is like a part of being an entrepreneur is like that's who you are, how you identify. Was there any like big moment where you were really nervous or an obstacle where you felt like, hey, is this thing going to be what I give myself to? Or has it kind of felt like there were small bumps along the way, but it was never a time where you're like kind of looking around the corner to see, hey, is this what I really want to do? Just kind of curious back on the entrepreneur kind of side. I think sometimes you look and you're saying, okay, is this the thing that's going to be something that I can commit myself to, for lack of a better term, or better way to say it. So I'm just curious on that thought process for you.
It's an excellent question, and I'm going to give you a dad good answer. So for me personally, honestly, no, zero. Honestly, I haven't had a concern since the day I started it, and I've learned, and I've researched, and I've networked. I've done everything I'm supposed to do, but the conversation with the wife didn't go so well because you know, when you all of a sudden out of nowhere go, hey, I'm starting a company called Freebird. It's, it's a water company, and I've been doing, real estate for 25 years. She's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I mean,
Yeah. No, for
like,
sure.
what's going on? And
Hey, is this a joke?
yeah. And, and with all jokes aside, like, even though it's my words, the little things I do on LinkedIn when I post those things, those are somewhat kind of reflective of our real life. And so my wife is Italian, and she's like direct,
Love
and
that.
I know where I stand all the time, and that's sometimes good and not good. And she weighs 100 pounds, by the way, but I'm scared as shit of her. And so, but in saying all that, like, it's amazing when I've got these thoughts in my head, and I'm like, I live in my head, which is good and bad, because like, I feel like I can run the world that way. But then I have a sort of a come to Jesus, like, reality check with her. And she's like, well, what about salary? How are we going to pay the bills? Like, what does that mean? Like, what do you know about beverage? Blah, 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 blah. So honestly, like, when you're talking about, like, if there were any doubts, it was when I was speaking with her, because she, and not in a bad way, in a very
No,
real,
good on her, man.
yeah. She's like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? And
Yeah.
honestly, I didn't have really good answers. I didn't.
I don't know. It just
Yeah.
sounded like a good idea at the time,
Yeah.
honey.
In
I
my
don't know
head,
what
I
to
was
tell
like,
you.
I'm fired. But in reality, it was like, oh, so yeah, so that alone was probably, the only time where and honestly, I'm going to be, you know, fully transparent. I really didn't even have any doubts then. I just knew that I needed to think about, like, okay, what are the implications for my family? Like, let's think about this, not for today,
Yeah.
not for 3 months from now, but like next year, 3 years, 6 years, like, what's going to happen? Like, I got to think about, like, an income, because I need to make sure that I'm, taking care of my family the way I should. So those things were the things that, like, my wife was absolutely correct about, as always, but also, appropriate for her to bring up, that, I needed to answer. And even though I didn't have good answers, at some point, she had to have a little faith that, maybe I was onto something, and
Yeah.
that's where we left it.
Yeah.
Love that.
Bro,
Yeah.
where the hell did this like superhero confidence come from? Like what well did you drink from that like I try and show up and be confident, but it sounds like for the like fattest step into entrepreneurship and like building this company, you just walked in with like, stones of steel, if you will. Like where the heck did that come from?
Honest to God, and I'm not saying this to be funny, like, this is like a 12 beer conversation. But
Okay. Hey, sign me up, bro. We'll
yeah,
turn off the camera.
because
Like, you just let me know.
yeah, yeah, because I grew up with a father who was really, really successful and very, very overbearing. So I had a lot of insecurities. So it sort of doesn't make sense. It really
Yeah.
doesn't. But I think also at the same time, despite his, you know, being so tough on me, I always had in the back of my mind, I had some confidence in what I could do. I just wasn't able to really get to that point, because I always felt like, he was there looking over my shoulder, and, maybe he was going to critique it. That's a
Yeah.
nice way of saying what he probably would have done. And so he would have had a lot of, he would have had a lot of comments. And so for me, and this is sort of a weird thing to say, but my father died, I think 7 years ago now. And, when he died, of course, all the grief, all the things that we all
Right, right.
experience, and mixed emotions, and just sort of things that maybe none of us are really prepared for. But it also sort of allowed, like, a door to open for me, where I could open that door without fearing what was going to be on the other side.
Yeah.
And so I think to some extent that was a little bit of I don't know, just an opening for me to
Dude, that's
be
fire.
really me. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fire, man.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Jay, quick question on that. Like, I'm a pretty strong-willed personality. Is there anything that you've learned in your own journey as a parent to not potentially be overbearing in such a way that your kids feel insecure at? Because I think, like, I don't think people ever like wake up and say, "Hey, I want to be like this as a dad," right? But you're probably doing it without even knowing it. So was there anything that you found in your journey as a father that has helped you in that area at all?
That's a great question. And absolutely. So, and again, I don't want to come off as being critical of my father because he was a great dad, provided a great living, was an amazing rags to riches story, whole deal. But he was tough on me, and I was the only child. So I got all of his attention all the time. And that wasn't always what I wanted. But what it made me realize for having my own kids was I didn't want to be that way, you know? And there's a fine line between, I always say my dad was a Vince Lombardi dad. He didn't talk with me, he talked at me. I
Yeah.
just had to listen. And by the way, he had a lot of very brilliant, smart things to say to me. Some of them were kind of loud, but I had to hear that. And he didn't
Yeah.
really care what I had to say. What I
Yeah.
learned through that was I did want to care what my kids had to say. And
Hell
so
yeah.
I know that you can also cross the line of being, I'm going to use this term, this is not what I mean, but just to give an example, like the snowflake dad, I'm not talking about that either. I don't mean
Yeah.
that my kids can run roughshod on me. I just want to listen. I want to hear what they have to say. And it doesn't mean I'm going to agree with it, and doesn't mean that I'm not going to be stern. Quite frankly, my wife is the heavy.
Yeah. Are they running to dad before mom? Is that what it is?
Well, no, so my younger son, like, totally calls his mom for everything. Like,
Okay, get it.
and if it's something important, he'll call her and say, like, do I have to tell dad?
Don't tell it.
Or,
Don't let
or
him
like,
know.
hey, or can
Right,
you tell dad?
right, exactly. And so, but it's not because I'm that, because I'm not that way. I'm not like my father was. I'm a
No, for
lot more
sure.
understanding. But it's one of those things where, like, I'm going to be patient. I'm going to listen. I'm going to try to help. I'm going to try to do everything I can. And then at some point, I might become like, you know, a mad dad, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes kids need that. And there's a difference between how his mom deals with him and how I deal with him. His mom's like on his shit all the time. And
Yeah.
like, and just like she's on mine. Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes with me, he needs to just be able to talk to me for a little bit. And then at some point, it's sort of like, I'm like, dude, like, just stop for a minute. Like, you need to get your shit together. Right. It's one
Yeah.
of the,
Yeah.
Right.
and
No,
we
you
all need that. We all
You
need.
you
Yeah.
give them that space, which is what's important. And Jay, that's something I'm learning. My oldest girl is 4, so but anyways, I think, and I heard somebody recently say when you brought up, really listening, as I'm trying to start doing that all the time as much as possible now when they're young, because then my hope and prayer is that when they're older, they will want to come to me because they'll be like, oh, I know. And mom already does a great job because she's just like, she's awesome. But,
Yeah.
anyways,
Yeah.
like for dad, being a dad of girls, it's just kind of like I guess when they're older, I want them to know, hey, I can like come to my dad, he'll listen to me, you know. But I'm very similar to you in that aspect too, Jay. Like, listening, and then depending on the situation at a certain point, it's just kind of like, okay, like dad has shown you now that he's like listening to you, but also let me try to explain a little something just because I've been in the world way longer than you have, and hopefully you can pick some stuff up. But I think that's so important because also my dad, like very similar too, just like great dad. I'm lucky to still have him. I see him usually once a week. But anyways, the volume was usually a little louder, and it was a lot of
Same.
at you, sometimes with you, but a lot at you too. But I mean, it was all, in good love. But anyways, yeah, that's just something I, thought about recently, kind of just dropping all my stuff when my 4-year-old trying to talk to me and just really get on her level and listen. So that one day when she's like 24, she's like, oh, I can like go and call my dad about this. Maybe if mom doesn't answer the phone or something,
yeah,
So
yeah, as my backup.
yeah, there you go.
It's funny. I had a conversation literally 2 weeks ago like this, where my wife and my son, the one in college, we were talking about something, and she was like, Jay, you are like all Freebird all the time. Like you got to there's other stuff going on. And like when she said it, it sort of pissed me off because I'm like, I'm trying to I'm trying to build the
I'm
next,
building this thing, but come on.
Yeah.
but at the same time, she was totally right, as always, which is like, I get like, I've been like so unbelievably focused. We've got so much going on, and it's all I can think about all day, every day. That's all I think about, honestly. And I love that. But I also have to remember, like, oh, yeah, everybody else isn't in my brain. Like, they're over there, they're doing their daily thing, and they're not even thinking about Freebird. That's all I'm thinking about. So, like, when every other comment for me is Freebird related, sometimes I got to remember, okay, like let's ask how they're doing and what's going on with their day and
Yeah.
what's happening with them. And that's hard to do
Zoom out.
sometimes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man.
No, for
Yeah,
sure.
I love
Man,
that.
I feel like that's super refreshing to hear. I mean, you're a founder and CEO of a company that's taken off. Like, the three of us are soldiers in the field. And I feel like a lot of those, even as like the founder, those kind of internal battles with yourself of like, shoot, dude, where's the off switch? How do I turn it off? And look, it's not like all of us here, we show up for our kids hardcore. Like it's unquestionable. That's our why. But in those unique circumstances where you do have a heavy week and you're like, dude, I'm just like stretched bandwidth. I'm finishing work at 7. I just want to like put on the ball game and just kind of digress a bit. That's where those little windows kind of come into play where you're like, dude, I know I'm a good dad. Okay. I show up. I know I'm there. But dang, the missus has a point. Like I'm over here trying to juggle too. So I really appreciate that type of commentary because it's just so real, bro. We're in
Yeah.
hustle culture, Jay.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
show
hey,
up
listen,
10-hour days,
yeah,
right?
when we talk, well, we were talking about LinkedIn. And so, I didn't start my LinkedIn account till last August.
No way.
Yeah, which is, dude, yeah, Chris. I already kind of knew that, Jay. I mean, not an
That's
exact
crazy,
date or anything,
dude.
but like I knew that it was recent.
And I only did it for
so.
Freebird. I didn't do it for anything else. And because I wanted to, I wanted to help support the brand and whatever. And then all of a sudden, and I've always been sort of a writer, in my life. And those creative sort of juices took over. And now, I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. Like, I'm all over the place. But I started simply for the brand. But to my point I was trying to make was what I realized pretty quickly was, like, I'm just going to be me. I'm just going to be all me. I'm just going to say it. I'm going to
Bro,
good,
that's
better,
why
and
it's
different.
taken off, Jay. I'll tell you
Yeah.
right now, that's why it's
Yeah.
taken off, dude. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. And but I can't, but also I can't go back. Like, I'm just going to say whatever it is. And some days it's serious. Some days it's silly. Some days it's, business, whatever it has to be. But I feel like people respond to that, and so, and also I want that. I mean, so talking about Freebird, I always say this one thing, and it sounds a little hokey, but I don't care because I mean it. Like, Freebird is a brand with a soul. And so
Yeah.
there are a lot of brands out there that look good. They seem like they're okay, but there's no depth there. There's no realness there. I wanted Freebird from the beginning to be about America, be about people, to make you feel something, but also to have a soul. Like, there's something there where you feel a little bit more, because we're water. Like, there's only so many ways I can make water sexy and
Yeah.
sizzling, right? So what do? So you got to create something that people really, really like and they resonate with in some way or another. And so I feel like that's the same thing about LinkedIn. Like, you got to be authentic to the core. And if you're not, people know it. Like, the world is not like it was a long time ago. Like, it's easy to figure out who's the poser in 5 seconds. So you got to be real.
No, but I feel like, dude, you are the missing equation of where most companies fail. Like going back to you and your presence on the platform and you being vulnerable and being silly and communicating, like that is the soul of the company, 100%. And so Freebird page, super dope, but tune in to the Jay Williams page because you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you totally get this shot behind the curtain of a real human being, which is kind of the essence of like, dude, I'm sure one of the Kardashians released a lipstick or something, and I'm sure they know nothing about the lipstick industry. But
Yeah.
because they are this public figure, they're putting a face, they get to be silly, people resonate. Like it's almost like the same concept. You're literally putting a soul into the product, and people are gravitating towards the product because of what you're putting on the platform. And I think that that is the magic of the equation, man. It has to be.
Yeah.
Love
I
that. Love
appreciate you
that.
saying that. And I think there is something to it. I will say this, however, like, I think you can get too enamored with yourself on LinkedIn and forget that that's just one small component.
Yeah.
You know, to me, it's a vehicle, but it shouldn't be your only vehicle. You need to have like a garage. You know, you
Yeah.
could have a lot of vehicles. That's just one of them. But it's the only one where, from my perspective, a founder can be real and tell their story. Maybe you can go on TikTok and you can do some things, but it's still not the same. Like
They're
to me,
mean on
here,
TikTok, Jay. I'm experimenting. It's not a good. I'm trying, and
yeah,
they're mean over there, bro.
yeah,
It's
it's
not
fine.
fun.
I'm gonna be there soon, and I'll let them be mean. I don't give a
Come
shit.
join us. The
Yeah,
water is fine, but bro,
yeah.
it's a different demographic, brother.
Yeah. I'm slow playing my TikTok, and my social people are mad at me about it because like I know I need to be there. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
But anyway, in saying all that, like I knew that LinkedIn was going to be important from a business perspective. It turned out to be a lot more important than I thought, and quite frankly, more important from a life perspective. Like I love it. I love, like, I mean, I'm talking to you guys. I would have never met you. There's no way. I mean, it'd been
100%, right?
zero
Right.
chance, right? And then, you know, I also feel like that, you know, I'm making genuine friendships. And I think that, you know, a lot of people sort of, I guess, look down upon like sort of whatever, internet friendships or whatever. I think they're real as shit, you
For
know?
sure.
And like, for example, with Warren, like, you know, Warren lives 30 minutes from me. Whether we would have ever crossed paths or not, I don't know. But I feel
Yeah.
like I know Warren and I feel like I know his family. And I'm sure he probably feels the same about me. And it's the coolest thing because at the end of the day, like, you know, and I know you guys have seen, like, you know, I've got certain folks out there that I, you know, have ongoing banter with, you know, Eric
Yeah.
Martin, Brian Fong, and you know, some of the other ones out there, and it's a lot of fun, but like I I know these people and I talk to them every day.
Mhm.
It's it's
That's
crazy,
wild, man, right?
crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I love it
Dude,
though. I love
it's
it.
the
I
coolest
think
thing.
I think that I did a post today actually, and I talk to people about that all the time. Me and Charles do. Because when I started posting on LinkedIn, I think it's funny, you start for whatever reason you start for, but what you find out is that it's so much more than what you're expecting in the best ways. And one of the best things, Jay, like you said, is like literally the people that you connect with and you get to know. But I mean, just, yeah, the opportunities that, you can do, you can build a brand. I mean, because let's be real, and it's the same with Dadgood. Like you're not building any sort of brand awareness as powerful through the Freebird LinkedIn page as you are through your own personal page. And we, all know that. And then going back to something else you said too about, giving the brand soul, like one thing that I always try to say about Dadgood when we first started it, I always just imagine, I'm like, if we can create something that feels like a piece of who the people are, who are members or like who are supporters of ours, if they feel like it's a little tiny piece of who they are, then I think we're on the right track. Because then when they aren't in the community right in that second, if they're talking to a family member or a friend or whatever, they're just, it just kind of goes with them everywhere they go, like, dad good. And then when they do jump in, they're like, man, I've been like waiting, like I jumped in here this morning, really needed this, blah, blah, blah. And so I guess I think if you can create that sort of pool and feeling with your brand, then you're heading in
That's
the
the
right direction.
magic.
And I think that's what you're doing. So
Well, but hey, so I appreciate you saying that, but like what you just said is the key, because like nobody gives a shit about brands. Like, do you care about Dasani? Do you care about Mr. Pibb?
Good
No,
point.
you don't. So, and those brands are so big, so huge that like nobody's ever going to be able to translate that. But when you break it down in today's world, like brands have that opportunity to show themselves in a different way. And so, why not take advantage of it? Why not literally show yourself? And as a founder, like I feel like that my obligation to support the brand is to be there, not in a sort of cheesy like whatever that advertising way, I guess is the word, but just in a real way, because
Yeah.
people want to see that. That's what they're interested in. They could care less about your commercial or whatever it is that you're saying about the brand. But if you're talking about the brand in the context of who you are, how you started it, the journey, the struggles, the good, the bad, the indifferent, your family, whatever's behind it, then that they can relate to that, and that's real. And so I think that's where it's all, I think that's the difference that you can make, by literally putting yourself out there. And in your case, Warren, like your quads. I mean, everybody's seen your quads on the internet.
Come
Like,
on.
so
uh,
I'm sorry. I was
no, I'm
thinking about
sorry.
that.
I
and had
do a
to
lot
figure out how to
of
put it in there.
running.
He's not wrong. He's
There's a
not
lot of-
wrong.
It's a lot of my neighborhood's very hilly, so
Yeah.
I'll,
Is that
I'll
what- is
credit
that what it
that.
is?
Here's about your neighborhood. Everybody's seen your quads. They're gonna
Dang, that's
Nope.
funny, man. Well, check it out, family. We getting towards the top of the hour. That just about wraps up our time here on the Dadgood Community Podcast. I got my boy WD in the house, my boy CT in the house. As always, I'm your host, Chris Walcher. Tonight, our special guest, my boy Jay Williams. If you haven't already, go ahead and check out Freebird Water. You can find him on LinkedIn. Make sure you check out my boy Jay's timeline as well. You're honestly missing absolute heat if you haven't already. Just a reminder, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and don't forget to check out all the latest Dadgood updates coming at you on your LinkedIn timeline. My guy, Jay Williams. I'm going to enjoy a couple more of these tonight, a couple of those Ozo droppers, and we're going to put ourselves to bed. My guy, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. You're the real MVP, and we appreciate the opportunity to rap with you, man.
Thank you, guys. Cheers, y'all.
Appreciate it.
That's the
Thanks,
game,
Jay.
baby.
Cheers.